Shindig to order. Hospital District Board of Directors now meeting. We'll start with a pledge of allegiance and a prayer. Who wants to do which?
Prayer, please. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we're so grateful to live in a community that cares about the citizens who need help the most. Father, we pray your wisdom upon this board. The decisions they make will be for the betterment of our community and will reflect your will for our lives. Father, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now pledge to Texas.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Item 2, consider for approval and take appropriate action the August 22nd, 2025 general session meeting. Now, Terry Stanford called me this morning and informed me that on these minutes, there is one mistake under 4.6. He's not a judge, he's just a Terry Stanford. So, if there's anybody else with any suggestions, I think that's the only thing that's wrong with these minutes.
Make a motion to accept them with that change.
Okay.
Second.
Any questions? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, it passes. Thank you very much. And Terry Stanford is no longer a judge. Okay. Unfinished business, 3.1, discuss and take appropriate action, jail inmate concerns. Sheriff?
We had one guy in the hospital, he got 5 stints, so he's in pretty good shape in back at the jail, and so he can go on to serve his sentence in prison now. So he got finished with everything, so there wasn't anything I could do to give him the help he needed, so. And I got one with eye problems, that we're gonna have to be dealing with, I don't know where we're gonna have to take that person. That's still in the diagnosis stage. And then bringing a female, going to mineral wells, still for follow-ups, and 2 diabetics, that are a little bit past just regular diabetics, and got 60% of the people on, or 70% of them on psychotic medicines, so just learning about more.
Okay. Have any questions for the sheriff? Okay, there being none, I'll need a motion to accept his, okay. Okay, who got in second first? Okay. Which one wants to be second? Okay. I'll get equal. Okay, any questions? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, it passes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sheriff. 4.1, consider for approval and take appropriate action, financial reports. Mr. Bowden.
So the general disclaimer is, these numbers are as of the end of last month, August 31st. I'm always in arrears. At that time, the general fund had about $186,000 in it, and the unit fund had $97,000. The cash deposited into the bank accounts was $1,703.80, and cash withdrawn was $112,085.46. Aside from that, there was nothing of particular note, in my opinion, with regard to the financial statements. It was pretty much just business as usual. The fiscal year end of the hospital district is at the end of this month. So, the September financials beginning of the year for 12 months, that'll be the set of numbers that the auditor Other than that, it's pretty much business as usual.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. Then motion to accept his report.
I move to accept his report.
You can choose it. And then you can say.
You want me to go over the engagement letter now, or later?
You can wait. Thank you. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, it passes. Thank you very much. 4.2, consider for approval and take appropriate action, reports from County Judge Massengill.
Okay, well, I've got a more current update that just mine is as of this morning at 8:55 and 23 seconds from the bank. We have a CD at First National Bank in the amount of $102,871.78. And in the general account, we have $181,742.96. And in the indigent account, we have $87,080.19. And we also have two T-bills, one in the amount of $150,000 that matures on March 31st of 2026. And then another T-bill in the amount of $150,000 that matures on September the 24th of 2026, and the amount of $150,000. So that's the total liquidity of the monies for the Boone County Hospital District. That's my report.
Anybody have any questions for the judge? There being none, need a motion to accept his report. Okay. Okay, any questions? There being none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? There being none, it passes. Thank you very much. Okay. 4.3, consider for approval and take appropriate action, indigent operations. Krista.
Okay, so before I give my report, I wanted to introduce Brittany Jones. I have hired her to work a couple of days with me to assist with some of the admin work, so we can stay on top and on task with things. The admin work gets very overwhelming at times, and I've had some great assistance from, ladies at the judge's office. But she will be working 2 days a week. And for my report, for the month of August, we started with 67 clients in term 4. We received 18 applications with 18 approvals, 0 denials, and 7 renewals. 0 pending, and 0 that came eligible for Medicare and Medicaid. We ended the month with 60 clients on the program. As of today, we have 71 clients on the program. There were a total of 28 patients seen by Lakeside Physician Providers. For our jail inmates for August, there were 2 applicants with 2 approvals and 0 denials. There were 76 jail inmates that received pharmacy services, and there were 128 inmates that either turned or released from custody. And that's it in the title.
Anybody have any questions for Krista? There being none, I need a motion to accept her report. Who's the second? Any further questions? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, it passes. Thank you very much. 4.4, LGMC CEO RPP.
Hello there. I've seen you all in a few months. All these have been out timing wise, but I know you guys got to meet Paul a little bit, our assistant CEO, so glad we get to do that. I'll be back today. Couple of just quick updates from the hospital side of things. We have a couple of new folks that have started or maybe come back to us, so just kind of want to share those with the public. Dr. Bryson Butcher is a new pain physician who started with us. Is fully enrolled and supporting everybody in the market now. Transfers from a fellowship out in Mississippi at the university there. Fully fellowship trained in pain, which is a big deal for the significant access need. We've transferred at this point to be here in Vancouver initially, but probably do some of the satellite communities as well. So, big deal from that access perspective. Dr. Thompson has been there for many years, and so, just really trying to help support that service and support the project. And then did want to just mention that we have, a returning physician who's come back on board with us. He's been with us in the community many years, and served as a GI physician, who's been in pathology, and he's now part-time back with us. He's kind of 3 days a week, 3 weeks out of 4 right now, working for that overtime, but takes a lot of call and support from the hospital. Gastroenterology is a desperately needed service across many small communities. I can tell you, even within our company, out of every single hospital in Texas that we have, every one of them is looking for gastroenterology. It's extremely hard to find. So we're very blessed to have his support, as long as in the community. Just wanted to mention him. And then just continued, kind of operational overview wise, the hospital continues to see significant growth in ER visits. That is something that's continued as a trend. Ever since we opened the freestanding ER, the level of 20 to 25% growth in ER visits year over year. So significant access. The freestanding ER continues to see 30 a day or more, which is big for its employees. So it's really been a really good service and access point for support, particularly for the teaching side, obviously. And ultimately, for things like strokes and heart attacks especially, that's why we're here, that's what it's been all about. And so, we see that same level of service out there, to be clear, the ability to get people back here for cath lab. 5 stents, as you're talking about, is no small thing. Many communities that I've worked in did not have anything close to that, so we're really blessed. I want to share some of those figures, and just kind of where we're at overall from a hospital perspective. Dr. Ebay and Dr. Rice are the 2 cardiologists that we brought on that have reshaped everything we do with that. Like I mentioned here before, they've expanded our peripheral capabilities to support things, legs, other parts of the body, pulmonary embolisms, et cetera, but that's really where that program is growing, and at the same time, really representing people that have to do things other places, and so it's a huge support. That's all I have. Y'all have any questions for me?
Anybody have any questions? Thank you for your report.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Need a motion to accept his report?
Move.
Need a second? Any questions? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, it passes. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. 4.5 is take appropriate action to hold a public hearing for proposed 2025-2026 time for the budget. So, at this point, we're going to close our regular meeting and open for the open public meeting. So, would anybody like to speak? You're the public. Sure. You're not the public. Hush.
Do you have an extra copy of the budget? There's another one in the packet. Thank you.
Anybody else need a copy of the budget? I'm sorry, you can't have.
read that.
You need a bigger phone.
Yeah.
I'd like.
Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Can we get a copy? Is that good? Is there an extra?
Yes, ma'am. Anybody else? All right. This is the budget, and it's the best we can do. The proposed draft for the budget for the hospital district is a wild guess. We take what we know that we've had in the past as expenses, what we know we'd be having, but you never know what will happen with people moving in and being indigent. Sheriff's people that he's got in jail. They get sick or pregnant or, so you never know exactly what it's gonna cost. So this is our best estimate. So, anybody have anything to say?
Do you wanna go first, Faye? Well, I'm Kristen Millington, Executive Director of Roots Place and McKinney Health Center. We have Rosina Pittman, Marge Grantham, and Kevin Heredia. We today to represent our patient population, which is much the same as the hospital's patient population. We do work together on a lot of the same patients. The hospital discharges patients to our care. We recommend patients to be, part of the indigent program, and we would like to be part of the conversation.
And in the past years, we've made donations. But
Right.
we started running out of money and quit making donations to everybody, so
Could I?
my apologies.
So what do these parentheses mean on these bottom numbers?
I think that's a minus.
That means we're lost.
Uh-huh.
That's a negative number.
And this year we tried and vote to reinstate tax for the county so that we could have money and pay for things. But that didn't work, and we're running out of money. Back in 1996, we rented the hospital to the hospital for $15 million. And that's 29 years it's worked, but we're running out of money. And, they have 30 years, and then, that they've already paid for with 15 million, and then they have a 10-year contract for $1,000. So, for the next 11 years, we won't get very much money. And we're gonna run out of money. And either we sell the hospital or we dump it back on the county somehow. But while we're about doing the best we can to spend what has to be done, but nothing huge.
Yeah, well, we got $700,000 in total
Yeah,
funds, and that's about what we're
that's it.
paying out per year. We have no revenue source.
So when, we're still in public hearing, so.
Yes.
When I was taking flying lessons, I started doing twin time. And if an engine goes out in a twin, you're going down. It's called a fixed rate of descent. In other words, you're gonna go down, but you got control. We're on a fixed rate of descent right now. It's, and, we had as Chairman said, we had a tax rate issue that was on the ballot last November, and the voters said no.
I understand that, but what you're saying is, we're about to have a huge influx of patients.
I'm
No.
not saying that. I don't know.
If you're saying you're not gonna be able to fund indigent care, we're gonna have to, cause that's what we do.
No.
The state requires us to fund it, whether, there's some
So you
legal
will fund.
questions there that, does it end up going back to the county?
It'll go back to the county, and the county will have to pay for it. Now, we'll all end up paying taxes to take care of it, but
Right.
it will not all come back on you.
So are you you're a private organization, right?
We're a nonprofit.
Non-profit.
Thank you guys for what you do. That is
Amen.
very, much appreciated and necessary
It is.
thing that you do.
You're right.
100%. Just pray your turn up here. This is, the whole expression.
Is there a foundation board, a nonprofit board connected to your hospital that does?
I don't know.
You have,
There's not a foundation board, not a hospital proprietary, run by community health systems, we're affiliated with them. We have, accept physicians, which is a clinical entity that will support the entire community. The 28 patients she spoke about earlier are seen entirely by our clinic entity, and we support that side of things. The hospital's lease, basically, as a part of that, we see patients in the hospital, for healthcare at the hospital for any imaging care patient at no cost to the county. So we just keep that, so, but that's our position.
well, is there any way that we could discuss a partnership of some sort where we're taking indigent care, but you guys are helping support with fundraising efforts that we have going on that could lead us down to where the costs that we're gonna be absorbing with these patients, is there any way that, maybe it's not with money that y'all are supporting us, but it's with other things?
This is not all gonna be dumped on y'all. If we aren't able to pay for it, we're gonna dump it on the county. Not on y'all.
And the five that are currently on the court are the ones that's gonna say how much the county tax is gonna change to fund it. There's no way around that statement.
I think it's very nice to
Sell the
there
hospital.
in the words, dump it versus otherwise, state legal statute requires the county to pay for that if they can't pay for it.
So right now, the county we have a road, we have a tax line item for ad valorem taxes for roads and bridges. We have one for general fund, we have one for library. We're still not real clear on what it's gonna look like if we have to phase out the district as it exists today. But the chances are it would look like some sort of another line item
Yep.
on the ad valorem tax sheet from the county.
But we
Where-
could still be a part of that.
Well, I don't know, that's all a form of statutory construction, which I can't opine on that today, because I'm not sure, I can't answer to
And
that, how that would look.
we didn't expect any answers, we are open to conversation.
And we appreciate it, and we appreciate what you do, but understand, they're not all gonna be dumped on y'all. Okay?
I mean, we're
Somehow,
only
someway.
seeing 651 patients in 2024 compared to 70 on the patient
Well,
assistance program.
70 that are qualified as indigent.
What are your qualifications?
Can I say something on this? It's 70 for the month, that is not all the patients we've seen in a year's time, okay? Every month, so these numbers change constantly, just like I said, we ended the month with 67, but yeah, it's back up to 71, because what happens is every month, it's time for people to renew. They don't renew by the end of the month, so they drop off and have to do more reports, and then a week or so later, they're right back on there. It's not, that's not all we see, period. I mean, we see, if I could write a yearly report, so we see a whole lot more than that. So I don't want it misunderstood that, oh, there's only 70 people, y'all only see 70 people. Plus, we have a stricter guidelines and criteria I have to follow through with the, what the Texas, what the state says do. Not everybody's gonna
I
qualify.
think that's determined by the county, is it not? Qualifications for the indigent program?
No, they're set by the state, and we have to follow those. There's some things that, are in the policy that can be interpreted a certain way, and it's up to the county, or in this case, the hospital district, determining, whether we're gonna put that in place or not. So, but they primarily follow all the state guidelines, and not everyone's going to qualify. I also work with my clients to get them into, when the marketplace opens, to get them onto a plan through affordable healthcare, but I only have a 2-month window to do that. But just in the last couple weeks, I literally had 15 new people apply and become indigent. And I mean, I don't know how else to explain that, but I don't want that misinterpreted that, oh, they only see 70-something people, they're not paying either, because we're seeing a whole lot more than that.
Did you guys share the number that, you guys take care of, annually?
So last year we had 651 unique patients. We had 2,100 patient appointments or patient encounters.
And you qualify them as indigent, how?
We have an application process where they submit their income verification. And we don't necessarily disqualify anyone based on income because there are
They need care.
so many people in this community that are working 2 or 3 jobs, but they're all part-time jobs. Therefore, they're not gonna meet your We are, but those grants are not gonna last forever, but
No.
foundation is not gonna continue in perpetuity, so we have got to make a plan for the future so that our clinic is sustainable past the Kenneth Hill Foundation grants. And that's
Yeah.
why we wanted to talk to you today, to make sure that, you know, our doors aren't gonna close along with the Hood County Hospital District, if that happens.
Sounds like we're in the same boat, huh?
Well,
Close.
if the hospital district goes out of business and everything goes to the county commissioners and judge, then you can contact them for donations also,
Right.
so.
Just
And they're
coming out
all
of a
elected,
different
so they
budget.
need the votes, so.
Y'all, you know, the way y'all got these medicines, I went through the whole facility and the good work, y'all have so many doctors that contribute their time. I mean, it's a fabulous deal, and y'all do such great work for the community, it's, I wish we could do a lot more. I wish the bond would have passed, wish we could do more, because y'all do a lot to really help the indigent population that we can't do.
We used to do every year.
Yeah, and we really, that's something that we have to do. So, we're trying to solve this problem, so. But I'm very impressed with, well, Ruth Place, it's called now the Hill Foundation.
Kendall Health.
Yeah, Health Center.
Anything else? I'm sorry, we don't have a good answer for you.
Question for the commissioners, since I went to the board in this recent election. I think it was a lack of education or a lack of understanding by the public of what the tax does.
Both.
Yeah. And there was a point of time that people were just not going to vote yes to pay more taxes. And they just, some of them just, no, I don't care what the cause is, no. And
I know a lot of people thought it was going for the hospital, no offense.
No offense, it was very confusing.
But, and that was not due to us doing it. There were articles put out in the paper. Junkins wrote a tremendous article, says the county, the hospital gets none of this tax. It doesn't go to the hospital whatsoever. It's for the indigent care. We had flyers that went out in Pecan Plantation and they over newspaper articles in the Hood County News. I don't know what else we could have done to further educate the general population that the hospital was not the beneficiary of any of these tax proceeds, but a lot of people were still asking that question about that, so I don't know what we could do to just educate the people.
But in a roundabout way, if the indigent program is through the hospital, they are the beneficiary of funds.
Oh, no, not really, we got to pay for that.
Funding produced by any tax raised by this body, that's not coming to the hospital.
So who
Not-
is the indigent, who's assisting the indigent care funds then?
Where do the indigent funds go if they're not paid to the hospital?
Primarily for stuff outside the hospital, pharmaceuticals is a big,
Oh, yeah.
a big
And the
part of
doctors
that.
and the nurses that work in the jail.
jail.
That's a huge expense, that's where most of it goes in. Plus the fact that under the lease agreement that presently is with the hospital, they provide a great deal of services to certain parameters, to indigent services also, to inmates and to the civilian population. But they don't get any of this tax money. It's to pay doctors, nurses, and the pharmaceutical drugs that the indigent people have to use. That's significant. It's about, what is it, about $70,000 a month, basically?
The
every
funds-
month.
The funds that she's got for her indigent care program, where did those come from?
The lease of the hospital,
Our hospital district fund, you know, we've got it
Back in
divided into a few
1996,
things.
when the lease was made with the hospital, the hospital district that was specially created for Good County got $15 million, less a lot of deductibles that was done, so there were accounts receivables and stuff in the old hospital and stuff, and I don't know, it was something like net $12 million, I think, at the time, that was paid upfront by Community Health Services. That money was invested, and back then, 30 years ago,
There's a lot
there
of
was
money.
higher interest rates, and the medical services was relatively low. So you had good high interest rates, and it was going along, clicking along just fine, and the medical services were low. Now you got just the opposite scenario. Medical services are way up here, and interest rates, until just very recently, were way down here, you know? We've got some of the investments that were made were less than 2%. But we're restricted on what we can invest. We can't invest in speculative deals. We got to rest in something like government securities or Fannie Mae, Fannie Mac stuff that is a return of your money, you know, not a return on your money. You gotta make sure that the taxpayer money is secure. So it wasn't generating that much income, and you were having to dip into principal. So the principal was going down. So now we're in that situation where we're gonna probably run out of money like mid-year in 2026.
There's one thing that I think that maybe we haven't lived here for many years, that is, missing in the whole equation is the tax rate in 1996 was 14 cents per $100 valuation. And the Commissioners Court chose to reduce that to 0. So there's no more taxing done from that point to now, and that's what we prompted to try to reinstate this. Medical staff at that time was in favor of reducing that down to 45 cents, and that didn't happen. You can look at like Parker County. Parker County has maintained their tax base, and they are not in financial problems with the hospital district, but on their programs. So that put this county in a real dilemma.
So there's not an automatic threshold where you can raise the tax rate per dollar, like most hospital districts are set up. There's a certain rate where you have to go to a vote, and then there's a certain rate you can automatically increase per year.
We were at 0.
Yes.
it's a
So
percentage.
any increase.
It's a percentage,
Yes,
right.
it's 8%,
Right.
and 8% of 0 is under 5. So,
Anything.
So you have to go to vote to get it to be raised above the
Anything.
0.
yes.
Yes.
That's what we did last year. And they said, no. Voter approved tax rate, that's what we put on the ballot last year, because anything above 0 is, you know.
100% increase.
Yeah, and
So
so,
they killed it when they
We
dropped
we
it
were,
down to 0.
what do we have on there,
Yeah.
3 cents to?
No, 2.
2
2
cents.
cents. We suggested 2 cent, or the measure was 2 cents, which would equate to about 1.5 to 1.6 million dollars. We felt like we could have operated on that.
Yep.
And then, but the voters said no.
I know in Stevens County, when the hospital, Stevens Memorial Hospital in Stevens County did theirs, when they established it, they went with the county, and the county allowed them to, because the hospital was part of the county. And then they moved to form the district, and they set it up to where, I mean, this is just an option, where part of the county money was moved over to the district. Nobody had an increase, they just shifted it.
But
But y'all have a 0 that's locked in right now.
Right, and they're two separate taxing entities,
Right,
so that's
exactly.
actually not legal. The county
It
can't
was,
hand
when they
money to-
started, because
Right.
they were starting the district.
Yeah, at this point, like next year, we can't just give money from Commissioner's Court to the hospital district.
They wouldn't vote for them.
Well, we can't do that. It's illegal for taxing entities to give things to each other without something of equal value coming back to it.
Right.
So, that's I mean, as far as the hospital district, we're the big pickle on this thing for sure. It
It's
is,
happening all over Texas with rural healthcare.
well, and up until the changes in legislation in 2019, there was a de minimis tax where we could have come in and had a $500,000 tax put into place, but that went away with Senate Bill 3 or whatever of that particular 2019 or whatever it was. That went away, and with us having a zero tax rate at that time, that took away that option, so now we have to go vote on that, and it was voted down, so.
So the hospital district was put into place anywhere, but was voted into place as a subdivision of the state. Once the voters voted for the measure to have a hospital district, and they established whatever 5, 6, 8, 6, I don't know what they originally did, then the voters voted that into existence. We can't, the hospital district is a separate entity.
Completely.
And so again, we've been having this discussion for a couple of years now. What are we gonna, how are we gonna, if we have to wind the hospital district up, what does that look like? We've gone to actually, I know that Commissioner Andrews has, and I have too, and maybe everybody in here, we've gone and talked to our state reps, our state senators, trying to get some guidance on what we need to do to make some sort of soft landing, so to speak. And, again, we put it on the ballot last November for 2 cents, voter approved tax rate for the hospital district, and it was voted down.
It was not just the hospital district, it was also gonna pay for the ambulance service.
Well, but
That's,
yeah,
I know, but that's the way it came across.
anyway.
But it didn't make it, and it's.
I think Parker County has about 100 million in their hospital fund. And if they would have kept it back then at just 2 cents or 3 cents or 4 cents or 14, was it 14 or 12? 14? Can you imagine just say, go over reducing 10 cents, just keep it at 4 cents? We'd have millions of dollars and we wouldn't even be in this mess.
Yeah.
It would just force, that's what I mean. Sometimes you,
Would still be able to give him donations.
yeah.
But this is a good example of what happens when somebody gets a 30-year deal laid on the table. It looks really good at that point in time, but when you look, you can kind of maybe project 5 years out. 3 years out, you can get closer to projection. 2 years out, yeah. 30 years out. So I hope this is a lesson that we're learning with this hospital district, that this 30-year plan that they gave us, plus 10, it's actually 40. We're stuck with it. We are stuck with it. But people get mad at us because we're sitting here with our hands tied. And the only solution we could come up with last year was say, okay, let's put it back to the voters. And the voters said no.
And we can't bring the commissioners court the guys that were in the commissioners court in 1996 and have them stand up here and take blame for this whole thing. Because they're the ones that got rid of the tax. And were controlling the hospital district for years. Because there's 5 of them, 4 commissioners and a judge, and 4 civilians. one of those civilians being a physician. It's not pleasant, and none of us are happy with it, but we have to find a way to deal with it. And it's not easy, especially when you're a nurse and you know what's going on. Or a doctor.
I think to Dave's point, you know, obviously, 15,000 population in the county in 1996, and now there's 70,000. You said the planning was projections.
In 10 years, it's liable to be 150,000.
At least.
You know, look at Hayes County, 20 years ago, they were sitting at 70, right at top, just close to 70,000. And right now, they're at 240, 20 years later.
They rename it Dallas Junior.
Yeah, I don't know, I haven't heard that one, but, so here we are.
Right.
Anybody else? I mean,
I think representing it to the public for another vote has some merit. And,
What if we were a part of how you present that to the public? If we go along the route with the numbers and the data, and as a joint effort handling indigent care in the county with the growth? What if there was a public relation, a PR campaign that talked about the growth, so made it clearer to the public, the voting base? Made it clear, you know, that it's not 1996 anymore, and we're trying to live 2025 numbers and crisis levels that aren't applicable to what was locked in when hardly anybody who's affected now was.
And it's too late to do an election in November of this year.
But what about
So
May?
it have to be next year, right before we go out. And we can look at that. That would be an
Do a
option.
special election?
Yeah, those only cost how much?
it'd still be May or November.
$150,000.
Okay, so May. I mean, if you said it was tied to it also had not just the tax, but it also had the ambulance service tied to it? Is the ambulance service, would it still have to be tied to that, or is it contracted out, is it owned by the, okay, so they're also
It's two
non-profit?
separate things.
They've
Okay.
also been here asking them money.
So could we, when I say we, because I'm looking at you,
Yeah.
could it be presented as just the tax, just the increase, without having?
I think honestly, politically, I think it had a better chance of passing being highlighted.
With it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was kind of a decision that we made.
So bring them in as another talking point to show, you know, if you don't, if it's not passed, and this does close down, and this does shut down, when there's emergencies in town, or without an ambulance service, or without, you know, make it clear, bring real life scenarios to the table, what it looks like without.
Rural ambulance is in trouble all over the state.
It is, absolutely.
There's been legislation proposed, I don't know the state of legislation right now, but that was all factored in last year. We've had this discussion, this exact, not with y'all, but with the public ad nauseum on the same subject, trying to plug in the puzzle pieces to make something work. And the ambulance situation here is in the same boat that the hospital district's in and that y'all are in. They're in the same boat. And, it's, you know, it's a dilemma that right now we're subject to two election cycles, May or November. And I'm not crazy about May election cycles with this commission. So,
How many other organizations were you funding that you cut, did you cut them, do you remember?
No, I don't have it on top of my head, but we had gone down until it was just them.
We'll be doing such to see the citizens do.
Yeah.
You know, good organizations here in the county. See
Where we have the money.
I think there's the option of, you know, throwing our hands up and saying, oh, well, they voted no last time, so give up and let it disappear. Or you can get more people involved and fight harder. I mean, because we're willing to be part of the conversation.
Well, it's like Commissioner Andrews said,
Yes.
you know, people are saying, you know, for indigent people, I got my own health insurance, because why should I be paying for people else? Why am I paying for other people? They don't realize it's mandated by the state that an indigent person has to be taken care of by the county in which they reside. I tell you, the one that gets me the worst, and I am an attorney, is that a criminal kills a police officer. It's a capital murder offense, and we've got to pay that murderer's attorney's fees. Now, that'll really get you, doesn't it?
Yeah,
How about
but
that?
like I said, regardless of if it comes from the hospital district or the county, we're paying it anyways, right?
Say that again?
Regardless of whether it comes from a hospital district fund or the county's budget, it's getting paid for by
Taxpayers.
Yeah, right, so at least with us, you can put a more positive spin on it. That it's,
Well,
That we
I
try
don't know
not
how
to
we
spend
could have
any
said
more.
it any different. Is that, you know, we're required by the state to take care of indigent people. We've got to take care of, you can just say, we're not gonna take care of them and let them starve to death and not let them get any medical care, let them not get any housing care. We have to make a certain minimum. It's gonna be required by the state. It's just like we gotta pay for an indigent fund for attorney's fees. That's the one that really gets you, you know, that you've gotta pay to furnish an attorney to somebody that's committed a crime. And if you don't have capital, let me tell you this, Hood County has insurance for a capital murder case. You remember the one down in Erath County that occurred and killed that soldier, Chris Kyle? They finally had to plead him out to 99 years without the possibility of parole. And all those soldiers were really mad about that because they wanted him to get death, but it cost so much to try a death penalty. Erath County was going broke. They have to pay all the lawyers and all the attorney fees and all the appeals that go on after that. So, you know, you just get dealt some hands sometimes. You gotta do that.
I do think there is a valid point from my perspective about keeping it simple and not confusing the issue. For instance, there are some, places here in the county, they have their own, ambulance service. So there is a motivation, someone could say, I don't wanna be involved in having to pay for EMS, we have our own, we're paying for this, I don't wanna pay. So you're complicating the issue when you add multiple things, rather than keeping it simple. And I think, even though, the big voting blocks that may not like that. And so to me, if we were gonna do it again, I would keep it simple. And I would leave the ambulance, have that as a separate issue, because there's a lot of people who, the way this county is designed, they have their own ambulance services, and that's gonna motivate them to not vote for it.
Who's that?
Pecan,
Pecan has
And they typically, percentage-wise, they voted against it.
Mhm.
You know, more of the people that voted out of Pecan voted against the hospital tax.
Because half of it didn't apply to them, or they weren't gonna
They
use
see it as a double
themselves.
tax.
Yes, they do, they see it as a double tax.
But that, I mean, that's really within their own HOAs to their decisions about whether or not to do that.
Right.
Especially when you have Texas CMS still in the county, and they regularly cover it, so.
But if we can join forces, to put it that way, and have another different campaign, I mean, the first way didn't work, so if we do it a different way, and put out multi-point campaign, with different topics, or different, data, and give them scenarios, this is why you should vote for it, this is how it will benefit you, not so much just give us your money, but look what we're going to be contributing back for what you work.
So here's the response to that. Once we put a bond issue out, or the tax rate issue, we can't say.
Right, y'all can, we
We,
can.
you could, but you can't, it's gonna be a very, it would have to be, I think it may be doable, it's certainly something worth a discussion. But it's also something that we have to be very careful of as elected body. You know, we put the bond issue out there, and we're, as a body, we're not supposed to take a position one way or the other. So that's what, in the last time, you know, on any of these bond issues, we gotta kinda, at least we can take a personal position on it. But yeah, there may be something to work with, I do not know.
Well, and if we could also get a list of the ones like you had asked who else had been cut, you know, senior citizens or whatever. Those groups along with us are able to speak on that, we're able, and we would love to partner where we have meetings where we are advised on what to say and what not to say. From a legal standpoint, from all standpoints, what can be put out there and what can't, or what should or shouldn't. And we could host town halls ourselves to speak about it. Eastland County's going through town halls right now, trying to move into a hospital district. Town halls were happening, that grassroots gets the momentum going, and you start seeing it grow.
Well, actually, there may be some kind of pact situation could be formed. We need to talk about that. I think we can have a discussion about that.
What's your calendar look like? Let's get it booked.
Well, we got plenty of time there's nothing we can do today,
No.
but, you know,
That's not anything we can do this year.
this year, yeah,
But we can plan for everything to launch, like,
Because the state tells us, when, like you said, it's either May or November elections. And there's certain time frame of when you have to announce things, and once it's announced, this body,
has to step back. Yes.
we're done.
We'd love to have those conversations before we have to, y'all go into lockdown.
what we've got coming as well is the 2026 primary and election. Primaries in March. And, there may be a runoff if
That would be
that would be
May.
a May deal. And then you've got the November general election, which is a major election. So frankly, in my opinion, we start looking at, use a target date of November and start,
Will your budget hold until November? It won't, so.
probably not, but it is what it is.
But you'll donate money?
I'm sorry.
There's definitely conversations.
That's all we can.
We appreciate it. Because we can't even agree on whether or not to do it without the ambulance service or with the ambulance service.
Yeah, we're not coming here just for a, hey, we want donations, we want help.
No, you live
We
here.
wanna be a part of the solution,
Yeah.
but we wanna have a voice in the solution and help make the solution happen. Cause it benefits everybody, it benefits the community, it benefits everyone.
We live here, I'm gonna die here.
We take care of a lot of people in this county, so we wanna make sure we can continue to do that.
Okay.
Well, that's a lot of, we've gone all over the place over our budget though, so.
That's all right, we're in the public.
That's right. But you got the wheels turning now for me, so I think we can have a conversation.
Anything else in the open public hearing? Then I'm gonna declare the open public hearing to be closed, and we'll open the hospital district board meeting back open. Okay. 4.6, take appropriate action concerning proposed 2025-2026 budget. If you don't have a copy of the budget, best guess of our person who does this. Would you like to stand up and go over it or answer any questions? Does anybody have any questions about the budget?
Pretty self-explanatory.
This is the best guess possible. Have a motion to bless this budget.
So moved.
Any questions? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, passes. Thank you very much. All right. 4.7 says we can convene into executive session. But we don't have to, unless you guys want to.
We have any reason to?
We have, okay. Our attorney says that he has gotten to the hospital people, with our budget, what we suggested, and they won't pay for the hospital at that. So he's going to talk to them and ask them what they would give us to sell the hospital. Do you want any more details out in public?
Well,
I don't
I
care.
wanna put, so, there's an offer on the table,
We gave them an offer
and they come back and reject
and
it.
said no.
And so, that is
Our
it,
attorney
is
is
it in
going
our
to-
ballpark?
No, it's in the hospitals.
Waiting on a counter offer.
So the hospital, and I'm not directly.
Yeah.
We don't have to
I would
talk
care-
about numbers.
I understand that, sir, I appreciate it. CHS, I know originally, y'all were in discussion, this was between the attorneys and negotiating. Numbers are going back and forth, and then our attorney reached out and said, hey, what's the status? Because it was in the ballpark over here. And I've been told that we received a, give us your highest and best. That's basically the summary. And I know that's what our attorneys are looking at, and they're evaluating.
Well,
So,
we found
to be
out-
clear, that is where it went.
Yeah.
It was, and the table was there, CHS is at the table trying to support and provide additional support to this. I'm not in those, but I'm telling you, I know it went, there were offers made on both sides, there was a long period of nothing, our team reached out, received a message back, make your highest and best, and that is all I know at this point.
And we wanted some, and they didn't wanna give that. We don't wanna,
I don't know, I know that there were counters made in both directions, Ms. Christie, so I mean, at the end of the day, the hospital and CHS are here at the table trying to figure out a negotiation. We've been told, bring your highest and best.
but the
That's all I know.
attorneys yesterday said that they will be talking to CHS to see what CHS would take.
That's all I know.
I'm sorry, what CHS would give us for the hospital.
So basically what you're saying is we're still waiting on an offer from the.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, then I don't know as though we have anything to talk about, that's.
That's my opinion,
Not,
but
not
if you
till
wanted
there's something
to,
on the table.
To be clear, that message was provided to us yesterday around 2 p.m. after we reached out. There'd been nothing since our counter offer since that, so I would appreciate, it's not that we've been sitting still. We've been waiting for a response, that response came yesterday, and our teams are already looking at it. So, just wanna be clear, we're at the table for this.
Well, it's true, they are negotiating.
Yes, sir.
They are
I appreciate that.
negotiating, so hopefully it comes to a fruitful resolution, that's what we're all hoping.
praying for. Okay, if there's nothing else, then the next board meeting will be the fourth Friday in October, which is October the 24th at noon. It will not be here, it will be at the downtown historic courthouse in the second floor courtroom. Because you have elections here and they won't let us in here. So,
And then we're gonna have to have his contract on the agenda, right? His proposal.
we can have, or we just blessed it in the budget and I can sign it now.
Don't know if we can do that.
Okay, then we'll put it on the October. Is that okay? Will you continue to do everything between now and then?
Well, this should be an agenda item, actually. So,
My apologies.
No, it's my apologies, we should've gotten it earlier.
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's
But-
fine.
But it's on, it will be on the agenda.
Yes, it will.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we're done. Everybody in favor of adjourning can stand up and leave. Or sit and drink.
Oh. We didn't know.